to start to transition to some of the older ages now to kind of explain what you should be looking for during the season in terms of your training. So I'm going to do like a little bit of a framework of how I think about it, and then what you should be doing in the season, and then we'll get into some of the on ice stuff after that. So to me, the way that I think about if you're training as an athlete, and this could be any sport, it's not just hockey, I kind of put things in 4 buckets. You have your conditioning is 1, you have speed work is 2, you have strength work is 3, and then power, which is like that strength speed combination. So when you're training, you should be working towards one of those 4 things. It should be one of those 4 things. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of combination, like you're doing both together, but those are the 4 pieces that you're looking at. So when you go to the gym, you should have which of those 4 things in mind. What am I trying to do today? So in the off season, when you're not playing your games and you're not doing anything that's based on you performing at your optimal level, this is the time where we train all 4 of those, because you're not on the ice as much getting a disproportionate amount of one of the 4 or whatever, if that makes sense. So in the summertime, when it's off season, you should be taking care of all 4 of those things: conditioning, speed, strength, power. But you should have focused time in each of those areas. So if you're working on conditioning, work on conditioning. If you're working on strength, work on strength. If you're working on speed, work on speed. Power, right? Again, sometimes there'll be some crossover, but it shouldn't really be that for the most part. Now, as you get closer to the season and we start to get more into our kind of game ready state, then you're going to change the ratio of how you're working on things, right? So you're not necessarily going to be spending as much time in the gym doing conditioning, because now you're on the ice 4, 5, 6 times a week, which is all conditioning. You're not going to be spending a whole lot of time working on speed off the ice, because you're doing so many sprints on the ice in your sport. So as you start to get into the season, the conditioning and speed pieces are kind of taken care of with your on ice stuff, right? The volume training that you're going to get is taken care of. So what's the point of our training when we're off the ice? So at the young level, like I said, when you're before puberty and you're not really in the gym, it's the learning the movement patterns that you would use if you were to be doing a gym workout. Those are your squats, your hinges, your push pulls, all those things, right? Once you're in that zone of like 13, 14 plus, or you're playing junior now, or you're playing pro now, or whatever you're doing, the gym time or the workout time off the ice should be strictly strength, maybe a little bit of power, and then your injury prevention type stuff. Which, if you do that correctly, you might walk out of the gym and not really feel like you're sweating. Because like you said with the speed training, if you're doing strength for quality, you're going to be taking long rest periods. It's going to be low reps. You're not going to be getting your heart rate up very high through that workout. And what's going to make you sweat is when you get your heart rate up, right? Because your temperature increases, you start sweating. So when you're in the gym, you should be focused primarily on your injury prevention, your mobilization. That's where those really long warm-ups are going to come in. And then maintaining the strength that you built and a little bit of the power that you've built through that off season. And that's it. There shouldn't be, it should be very low volume meaning the total number of sets and reps that you're doing, the total amount of load that you're carrying. It should be low. And then the pace that you're moving at should be slow. It should be
just
slow.
to remind your muscles,
right,
and stimulate your muscles to remind you that you still can squat 250 pounds.
Right.
And you don't want it to go down to 200. Like, if to maintain it, it's a couple sets.
And the common thing that people think is, well, I don't want to lift that heavy because I don't want to be sore. And what makes you sore is muscle damage, which comes from lots and lots of volume, right? So lots of volume meaning high number of reps, high number of sets. But if you come in the gym and you're doing 2 sets of 4 or 2 sets of 3 or whatever that are super heavy, like close to your maximum, if you keep that every week you're doing that, you'll never be sore. You won't be sore at all because there's not enough work to cause the damage. You're doing enough work to get the stimulus where your muscles have to activate to carry that load, but you're not going to be damaging them so much that you're sore for the next 3 days. And that was a common thing that I always thought when before I got into working out was, well, I don't want to be sore. And then my mistake later was I would stay in the gym, but I would be doing way too much volume. So now I'm taking away from my performance on the ice, which is what the goal is now during the season.
Yeah.
right? So it's important that you start to shift how you think about your training as the season starts to come in, right? So the season starts, now I'm going towards my strength maintenance and my a little bit of power stuff, and then my injury prevention, mobility, good warm-ups, and making sure that I'm keeping my body in good shape kind of thing, right? So it's not the sprints, it's not the conditioning, it's not the speed training. That's you don't need to spend your time doing that off the ice because you get it on the ice. That'll make kind of sense. I know I went on a tangent there, but does
No,
that
that
kind of
makes
make
total
sense?
sense. You're going like, so how do you get your speed training on the ice? Well, you're every time you take off, it's a sprint.
Yeah.
That you're doing your quick feet. You're generating power, right? You're going as fast as you can for at least for a short period of time,
Yeah.
several times in a practice or in a game. So that's taken care of. Your conditioning is because you're on the ice all the time. You're sweating. You're out of breath. So there's your conditioning. And yeah, so to maintain strength is the thing that'll go because you're not working it all the time. So you're just reminding yourself and nudging yourself. Okay, get in the gym, bang, because his muscles is part of brain and muscle are they work together.
Yeah.
So it's that connection, reminding those circuits that yes, I can lift heavy still.
So talk a little bit about we mentioned it yesterday when we were talking on that podcast again, but talk a little bit about the importance of your training intention, because what you said right there was where you're getting your speed training, you're getting it on the ice. Where you're getting your conditioning, you're getting on the ice. And then you just gave 2 examples, right? If you're doing a flow practice, your heart rate's up, you're sweating. Every time the coach blows the whistle, that's a quick start.
Yeah.
Or it should be.
Yep.
Right? Unless you don't think about it, which a lot of people don't think about it. And this is why they don't have the knowledge, or they're not paying attention enough to know, like, okay, on the ice I'm getting this, off the ice I'm getting this. So talk about kind of the importance of having the intention,
like
with
during
training,
practice,
both off the ice, on the ice, practice, and whatever. Just talk a little bit about that.
Now you're not talking about like coming to the gym. Whose intention, your dad or the kid?
No, I'm talking about you're as the person training.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because people get tired. Players get tired. They get, it's November. I've been on the ice almost every day, and just it's another practice. You can be in a bad mood. You can have things going on in your head, things at home, and when you come to the practice, just getting through it sometimes. But the mindset, if you actually want to do something with the game, is you have to have an intention, and if you don't, you've almost wasted a day. So, for example, if you come to the practice just to do a practice, where did you get better? But if you came to the practice, say, okay, like you talked about skill buckets, it's something that I like to say too, is those skill buckets have to be full. So if I know that my shot needs to get better, or maybe it's not better, but I haven't been scoring goals, then maybe one of the things I need to do is today for practice, like my intention today is to make sure that I pick whatever it is, okay, low blocker side. Every shot I'm throwing low blocker side, I'm gonna nail it. That's an intention. Well, what'll happen after you do that for a practice, and you're going to start getting better. It's an intention. It's good, right? So it's the same thing with when you're starting off a drill. You can take off like kind of lazy, or you can have an intention of every time I go, I'm going to make sure those 3 strides are very explosive, right? If you do that, you will, because your mind muscle connection, you will improve that. Not necessarily dramatically, but you're not losing.
Yeah.
Right. Another intention is when you get to the, I'm going to make sure that I stop, never curl, never do a big figure skating circle. We're going to stop at the net after every shot. Those intentions are good habits, right? So as far as on the ice, those are things that are very, very important. If you don't have an intention, then,
it's everything, man.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, right?